All right, it's a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. It's a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Message from the Israelite Brotherhood. And I'm going to do this video on Ashkenazi so the Hebrews don't just think I'm always beating up on the Hebrew organizations. You see what I'm saying? See, there's some history about Ashkenazi that need to be understood because the Babylonian scribes and Ashkenazi working together on trying to keep their history hid. And it's gonna take us Hebrews to show what happened and who these people is that got our heritage. You know, this Israel being Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood. Shalom to you Hebrews, brothers and sisters. Alright, that's a picture of King Midas. King Midas. You see, they say everything he touched turned to gold, sure enough. And they real slick with history. And like I say, the people, we Hebrews, abandoned our heritage to, went way out the way and overdid it with trying to hide their heritage and who they are. You see what I'm saying? See, it's up to us to figure it out. And that's our job because, you know, the Tanakh explain what went on to us and how we lost our heritage, but we don't have no understanding of who we lost our heritage to. Most people believe in the myths that the Babylonian scribes created. You see what I'm saying? And what's called Jewish history. You know, I noticed some of you Hebrews is trying to get an understanding, and I see y'all pointing out to individuals when y'all debating with them on their site of what's Jewish history and what ain't Jewish history. You know, that's like some brothers was pointing out the Talmudic history and how that's Jewish history, correct? Okay, we need to get an understanding of Ashkenazi. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do this one on Ashkenazi and how slick they is in history, but how they ain't slick because our prophets, our ancestors wrote the history about these people that we abandon our heritage to. You see what I'm saying? The Creator had it all wrote down. Everything is wrote down. So we ain't missing nothing. All we got to do is pick up where our ancestors left off at in a picture start. You know, that's like people, you know, don't know that Ashkenazi code name in history is Scythian. Ashkenazi code name in history is Scythian. That's Ashkenazi code name. Ashkenazi code name in history is Scythian. And if you type in Ashkenazi in Scythian, they gonna tell you that Ashkenazi is from the Scythian territory, and that they basically one and the same people. You know, it's just that Scythian is their code name. You know what I'm saying? That's like the Jews got code name Jews. You know, but in the Bible, you know, we give the Sephardi groups their original name, which is Sephardim. If you look up Sephardim in 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 24, you will see that Sephardim is the Hebrew word for Sephardi. And Sephardi and Sephardic and Sephardim, you know, they the same people, just mixed, you know, as they moved around and stuff. The Sephardic gonna be mostly of European stock. The Sephardim gonna be mostly the Arab, African-like stock, and you know the Sephardis are kind of like the Amorites. You know what I'm saying? They are the olive skin peoples too, and they were scribes from Babylon. And I got a lot of videos explaining them folks' heritage and how we abandon our history to them, how we abandon our culture to them. But what's not explained in the Hebrew community is how Ashkenazi come into the picture. You see, a lot of Hebrews, when they come into the Hebrew history, the first thing they say is that the Khazars got our history, and that the Jews are the Khazars, and that's how they got everything. Not knowing that the Khazars, that the Khazars were latecomers in the Hebrew history, and trying to people that's trying to do our heritage. You know, the Khazars came way late, so you know what I'm saying. The Jews were practicing our heritage before the Khazars even come about. You know what I'm saying? Was even thought of probably about a good 2,000 years. You know what I'm saying? The Jews who we abandon our heritage to. Let's get that out the way, and then I'm gonna go into Ashkenazi history and show how the prophets knew that Ashkenazi was in Assyria before we even broke the covenant, and before Assyria even came and did what they did to the northern kingdom, and how prophet Isaiah even said that Assyria would do it, and how Assyria would attribute their success to their gods. You see what I'm saying? And I can show that the Assyrians worshiped the Creator before the beast got all the way in there. You see, around about before our fall, Baratuta, son of Midas. You know, Baratuta was in Assyria too, and they had plotted on Media. That's a kingdom, and Midas, you know, his son Midas went and they took over Media, and then they got together with Media and Babylon, and they all went and destroyed Assyria. You know, that's why come King Midas had the golden touch. You know what I'm saying? And everything he touched turned to gold, because he turned treacherous on those Assyrians and got the empire and brung Assyria down, which was the biggest empire around during this time. History is quiet on this, but that's Ashkenazi right there. That's Ashkenazi that you're looking at. You see what I'm saying? The Scythians were Ashkenazi, and that's an Ashkenazi king. King Midas was an Ashkenazi. He wasn't an Ashkenazi practicing our heritage yet, but they was getting ready to. You see what I'm saying? They was getting ready to. And let me establish this, man. It's a lot of history, But when the Creator called for us to get chased up off the land, it basically came from those people right there. You know what I'm saying? King Midas and them people. You know what I'm saying? Ashkenazi, the Scythians. You know, those are the ones that chased us off the promised land. And they chased us off the promised land under the name Chaldean. You see what I'm saying? The Chaldeans. The Chaldeans held Scythians. The Chaldeans held Scythians in their army. And the Scythians got in Chaldea through the Turanians. The Turanian culture are the people from the Altic Europe, you know what I'm saying, around the Caspian Sea. See, this what, you know, people don't know is that the Caspian Sea wasn't nowhere from Iran. You see what I'm saying? You see the Caspian Sea and all this is Scythian Ashkenazi territory. All this from way over here is Ashkenazi territory, and they control that under the name Scythian. Well, those people will come down through here and come to Assyria. You see what I'm saying? They will come to Assyria and kick it around Assyria, and that was the time that the prophet Jonah, you know what I'm saying, when them people first started to move around, because us worshiping that Egyptian religion from Jeroboam days, from when Solomon passed away, and Jeroboam got the northern tribes, and he brought that Egyptian religion out. If you look in history, all the nations start to move around then. They start to move around like at first they were settled and it wasn't no wars. and it wasn't no wars. But then when Jeroboam come out, you know what I'm saying, with that golden calf and put it on the northern kingdom around about 931 BC, then all the kingdoms, you know what I'm saying, around about, man, up in here in the northern part started to move around and stuff like they was woke up or something. You know, we know that the prophet Isaiah, the prophet Jeremiah later on was giving them folks something to drink, you know, and we know his ring started around, you know what I'm saying, prophet Jeremiah started prophesizing around about 627 BC, I think. I'm going to have to be for sure on that date, but it was around about that time. And when he did, man, he gave them people something to drink. And then it made them all come down towards our land and get us. Well, these people, the Ashkenazi, whose code name is Scythian, well, they was kicking it in Assyria before the Assyrians came and attacked us. Matter of fact, they was parlaying with Assyria and was part of the Assyrian army, and some of its people had married into Assyria. You know, that's like Assyria originally was founded by the Hamites. You know what I'm saying? By the Hamites, by Nimrod, by the Cushites. You know, they founded Akkad and Sumer and Babel. You know what I'm saying? Those were originally Hamite empires. But then the people, you know what I'm saying, Nimrod gonna be the first one to start kicking it with them white folks and trying to be cool with them and wanted to rule everybody. Because if he wanted to rule everybody in these parts, then he want to rule them white folks too, because Babylon is right here. You see what I'm saying? Babylon right here. And right up in here, we know the Caucasus Mountain and the Caspian and the Black Sea. That's where the white folks was. And some say that that was the land of Nod, where it was so cold that you couldn't do nothing but nod off. And that's where Cain went when he was chased up out of the garden. You know what I'm saying? The garden and stuff. And then he went up to these cold parts. And then that's where he made it with the Nephilims and the fallen angels that produced the Nephilims and the Raphilims. That's a whole nother history. And that's how come they didn't have no pigmentation. And that Japhet kids fell to that too. You know what I'm saying? To the Tazarat, Canaan kids that didn't have no pigmentation. You know, that was from those angelic beings. You know, and those people would come down to Babylon, and Nimrod wanted to rule over them. And Nimrod is the founder of Usher. Usher is where the Assyrian Empire come from, and they like the founders of Babylon too. You see, that whole Babylon in Assyria was founded by the Hamites. And those Hamites was losing it because those people was coming out the mountain. And Babylon going to be the first mixing nation. That's going to be the first nation that they start mixing in and stuff. And if you look up the word Babylon, the meaning of it, it'll, you know what I'm saying, they'll slick tell you that it means mixing, confusion. Confusion and mixing. Mixing and confusion. And we know that basically that's true because the people who founded the United States, the Sephardi groups coming from Spain, you know what I'm saying, with their crypto names and stuff, but coming from Spain, Columbus and them crew, them with some Sephardis and stuff that come over and made it with the natives, that they were down with the mixing, and they founded this nation. And sure enough, if they ain't trying to get everybody to mix, they want everybody to mix. But you see right here where it says Babylonia, confusion by mixing. You know what I'm saying? And sure enough, look, Babylon, confusion by mixing. Confusion by mixing. See what I'm saying? So we know Babylon means confusion by mixing, and then that's how you know that this country is the mystery Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, that prophet Jeremiah spoke of too, because the same people that we abandoned our heritage to, they was Babylonians and Amorites, the Amorites. I got a lot of history on a lot of them videos explaining, how the Amorites got their heritage back from us Hebrews when we broke the covenant. I got a lot of videos explaining a lot of history about this. Okay, but this gonna be about Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi with the prophet Jonah. With the prophet Jonah going into Assyria, where he fled and didn't wanna help them folks none at all. You know what I'm saying? Because he knew that they was wicked and that they had them wicked folks up there. Is why the Assyrians had turned wicked and didn't, believe in the Creator, or was starting to fall from believing in the Creator. And if you go to the book of Jonah, you will see that he was sent to tell them folks, you know what I'm saying, to get right. And this was in 760 BC. And Barak Tuda and his son Midas and them would pull up later on, you know what I'm saying, not too far after this, you know what I'm saying, that they will pull up. But the Scythians was hanging around Assyria. They had came down from the mountains and stuff. They had come out the Caucasus Mountain and stuff. Them white folks, they was coming out the mountains, Ashkenazi now, looking for something to eat. You know what I'm saying? They was hungry, and they was some bandits, some robbers, and some killers. And then they was coming out the mountains and stuff. And then they started to hang around, you know what I'm saying, Assyria. And then they had their eyes on Chaldea. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where a lot of the scribes and books and the people that was smart was from them parts. You know what I'm saying? Those gonna be the archive peoples. The people from Chaldea is gonna be a branch of the Sephardims, the bookkeepers and the writers for the Babylonian history. You see what I'm saying? The scribes and the people that learned. Well, the Scythians, Ashkenazi, had their eyes on them. And they got them. You see what I'm saying? Ashkenazi came into Assyria and went immediately to Chaldea way long ago. You see what I'm saying? And they mixed with those folks. And the Assyrians was trying to get them folks back up out their land and push them folks back up in the Caucasus Mountain. Is what the Assyrian Empire was about when it was fighting those northern nations. The northwestern and northern nations, they was fighting them folks because those were the folks that was coming out the mountains that was unlearned, that was savages and barbarians. Well, some of them had cleaned up, you see what I'm saying, after getting in Chaldea. And then how they got in Chaldea is what's called the Turanian Scythian Chaldean culture. You see what I'm saying? That ain't nothing but slick Ashkenazi coming into Chaldea. Now we know that Ashkenazi made up the Chaldean army. You see what I'm saying? And they've been partners and been rolling together for a long time. And that some of the nations that bucked Assyria in its last days, like the Medes, the Scythians, the Cimmerians, and the Babylonians, all those folks had a Ashkenazi stock to them and was cool to Ashkenazi. That's like Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, all them gonna be a Scythian stock. You know what I'm saying? The Ashkenazi stock. And those people took Assyria over. Okay, in 760 BC, the prophet Jonah was sent there. And we know how, the history, you know what I'm saying, of prophet Jonah, how he went there. But as you read, you'll see, then it says, let me see, this going to be on Jonah 3, chapter 3. And the word of the Lord Elohim came unto Jonah the second time, saying, Arise and go unto Nineveh, that was the capital of Assyria, that great city, and preach unto it, and preaching that I bid thee. So Jonah arose and went unto Nineveh according to the word of the Elohim. Now
Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city of 3 days' journey, and Jonah began to enter into the city a day's journey, and cried and said, 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown. So the people of Nineveh believed Yah and proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them even unto the least of them. So them folks had Scythians hanging around, and them folks was losing their weight. Because wherever them folks come, them white folks come with no culture and no covenant is what I mean. They don't have no covenant. It is no culture. They didn't have no covenant. Then they gonna be wild. See, when Cain was sent away for killing his brother Abel and telling that first lie, Cain didn't get no culture. He didn't get no covenant from the Creator. So that's gonna be the savagery that you see in the white folks, that killing and that stealing and that lying and that murdering. It's because they forefather Cain did not get no instructions on not how to be like that. He was just got told to get on away from him. But you know what I'm saying, from the garden and from the Creator, because of what he did and stuff. So dude, descendants gonna be savages, barbarians, the nomads running around that's caused mischief everywhere on the earth. That's gonna be them. Okay, they was in Assyria, and they was called beasts back then. You know what I'm saying? Because 9 out of 10 they had old wolf skin on and some old animal skin pulling up, because they, wasn't, having no crops to grow cotton and stuff to make materials and clothing for. So they probably pulled up in Assyria with them animal skins on. So they was called beasts back then. But as you read chapter 3 of Jonah, you're going to see that, he proclaimed, that the Creator was going to destroy Nineveh in Assyria. You know what I'm saying? Because they had turned wicked. And surprisingly, these people, the Assyrians, believed in the Creator. You see what I'm saying? So this had to be that these Assyrians were believing before the Scythians, the Ashkenazi came. So the people of Nineveh believed Yah and proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them even unto the least of them. For word came unto the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne and laid his robe from him and covered him with sackcloth and set in ashes. Now check this out. If you look at history, this king of Assyria name was Ashurdan. You know what I'm saying? That's what his name was, Ashurdan. And he was on the throne during that time. You know what I'm saying? During that time that prophet Jonah had, come through. And man, I thought I had some history on him pulled up, but it's all right. Okay. All right. Yeah, so Ashurdan was on the throne of Assyria during that time. So they would put on some sackcloth, you know what I'm saying? And they even told the beast folks, you know what I'm saying? And this is how you know, because we know can't no beast get no praise to no Creator and stuff, And he caused it to be proclaimed and published throughout Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock, taste anything, let them not feed nor drink water, but let man and beast be covered with sackcloth. And who's going to be covering a whole bunch of cattle and everything with sackcloth, and cry mightily unto the ill Yah, and yell, and let them turn everyone from his evil way and from the violence that is in his hands. Who can tell if Yah will turn and repent and turn away from his furious anger, that we perish not? You know what I'm saying? So, them folks had them Scythians up in a nation, Assyria did, when Jonah went there. And that was the reason why he went there. You see what I'm saying? To tell them to stop from their wicked ways. And not too long after that, you see this dude pull up. You know what I'm saying? And they was a little more educated than the first ones that had came. You see what I'm saying? These gonna be like the second ones that have been hanging around and then got a little education and stuff in Assyria and Babylon. And Baratuda, son was Midas, and they helped Assyria destroy Media in 678 BC. You know what I'm saying? In 678 BC, Prophet Jonah had just left there. You see what I'm saying? And then that's how, you know what I'm saying, you know that they was wicked, because after they destroyed Assyria, and then Prophet Jonah was mad because he said, you know what I'm saying, mad that the Creator was going to spare them at that time, and that they was getting spared and stuff. And he was real mad, and the Creator, you know, was humored by him being mad and say, why should he, you know, destroy that whole nation? Mean if they gonna repent, you know what I'm saying, and change their ways. And how Jonah cared more about a plant than anything. But guess what? Right after Jonah did that, the Creator turned around and got them and made a proclamation to destroy them, to destroy Assyria. See, because also Assyria had got the big head. You see what I'm saying? They had the Scythians and the white folks in there. You see what I'm saying? And I believe the white folks was directing the Assyrian Empire, because they got the big head. They got the big head. But let me show this real quick also, because, you know, to show you that they got the big head, the prophet Num, the prophet Num gave an oracle, man, about Assyria's destruction immediately after Prophet Jonah left. And then they had changed and tried to do right. Then I guess they must have turned right back wicked, because the prophet Jonah, you know, was mad because the Creator wouldn't destroy him. Well, the prophet Num showed that they was finna get it, that it wasn't over for Assyria, and that this was finna, you know, he was prophesizing their destruction, and he'll let you know that the Assyrians were basically founded and helped it by the African tribes. You know what I'm saying? That's like if you go to Num chapter 3, verse 8, and it says, "Art thou better than populous No that was situated upon the river, that had the waters round about it, whose rampart was to the sea, and her walls was from the sea? Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Put in Libya were thy helpers." So the strong African nations made up Assyria. You see what I'm saying? But they started kicking it with the white folks up there. Start parlaying with them and letting them come in. You know what I'm saying? And that was Ashkenazi and them under the name Scythian. You know what I'm saying? And Ashkenazi and them took over the Chaldean nation too. If you look at, that's going to be Isaiah, prophet Isaiah, that's going to be 23:11. He going to tell you that Assyria is the founder of Chaldea. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, this source is going to be the oldest source, and we had accurate sources, and our history was real easy to understand until the Babylonian scribes got our history, you know. And then when the Babylonian scribes got our history, they started hiding their history that's in the Tanakh that we exposed about them, and they kind of like throw everybody off. But once you know who we are and who we abandon our heritage to, then it's easy to understand. See, if you look at Isaiah 23 verse 13. Behold, the Elohim of the, behold, the land of the Chaldeans. This people was not till the Assyrians founded it for them that dwell in the wilderness. They set up the towers thereof. They raised up the palace thereof, and he brought it to ruin. All right. And behold, the land of the Chaldeans. This people was not till the Assyrian founded it for them that dwelled in the wilderness. They set up the towers thereof. They raised up the palace thereof, and he brought it to ruin. You know what I'm saying? The Chaldeans brought it to ruin. Ashkenazi brought it to ruin because Ashkenazi made up the Chaldean army. Ashkenazi made up the Chaldean army under the name Scythian after they went down and chased the little African element out of the Medes and stuff, and then installed their people, and then they all got together, Media, Babylon, and all the other nations, and went in and destroyed Assyria. And King Midas gonna lead the way. You see what I'm saying? He gonna lead the way. And the prophet Num tell you about Assyria's destruction. You know what I'm saying? And Assyria was destroyed in 612 BC. All right. Assyria was real wicked. Assyria had got the big head. We had used the Assyrians when Pekah and Ahaz was fighting, and we was having proxy wars against each other, and then we had hired the Assyrians. You know what I'm saying? And we had hired Syria, the northern kingdom, and Judah hired the Assyrians, and then they turned on us. You know what I'm saying? We hired the Assyrians, the northern kingdom, and Judah hired Assyria, Razin, and then the Assyrians turned on us and took 3 tribes away. You know what I'm saying? Took 3 tribes away, and that's what created that 10 lost tribe myth. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show this, and then I'm gonna try to back it all the, you know what I'm saying? Go all the way back to how we broke the covenant, fooling with the Egyptian religion. Okay, if you go to that's gonna be First Chronicles chapter 5. First Chronicles chapter 5. First Chronicles chapter 5. First Chronicles chapter 5. And you're gonna see it says, all right, First Chronicles chapter 5 verse 18. The sons of Reuben, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, are violent men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, and skillful in war, were 440,703 that went out to war. All right, these are the people that the Assyrians would kidnap. This will be the northern kingdom's soldiers. You know, these soldiers, the Syrians would need to help them fight. You know what I'm saying? Because they was fighting for their life after letting them Scythians and them Ashkenazi up in their nation, and couldn't get them folks out. And then, them other folks that they was attacking, you know what I'm saying, trying to drive them folks back. Because after they done educated some of them, all the rest of them start coming. So they needed us. You know what I'm saying? So they done wrote history all the way up. But it was easy to kidnap the northern kingdom because the northern kingdom was on Egyptian religion. We was on Egyptian religion from the time of Jeroboam. You know what I'm saying? Bringing that mess out of Egypt after Solomon's death in 931 BC. All right, so but these would be the people that, they would start that 10 lost tribe lie off of, And this is First Chronicles chapter 5 verse 26. In the Elohim of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, in the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Halah and Habor and Har, and to the river Gazan unto this day. So those are the fighters that the Assyrians need. And then if you go to this gonna be Joel 2:20, you're gonna see that this was a prophecy to take away the northern kingdom's army. Yeah, so our history is here. Our history is here. And Prophet Habakkuk tell you about Ashkenazi was going to come tear our mouth out. You know, he go into detail about it. All right, then if you go to Job 2:20. Job 2:20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with the faces toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the outermost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill favor shall come up, because he had done great things. You know what I'm saying? The Assyrians needed the northern army to help fight against them folks that was trying to take their kingdom over. You know what I'm saying? They had let too many white folks in, and now they was taking over, and that was Ashkenazi. And the prophet Jonah was there to warn them to clean up and not to fool with those folks from the beginning and get that violence and that wickedness up out their nation. They tried, and that would probably be one of the reasons why they'll come get the northern kingdom. Even though, you know, we were slipping on Egyptian religion, that would allow the Assyrians to kidnap them. We didn't have no protection from the Creator. And you see that the Assyrians took them. And if you go to 1 Kings chapter 12, you know, this is dealing with Jeroboam. This is around about 931 BC. You know, the northern kingdom army was taken in 722 BC. So this is like, you know, 200 something years before then. And how we was on Egyptian religion for 300 years, all the way up to King Josiah cleaned it up. And that would be one of the reasons why the Egyptians would kill King Josiah, for cleaning up the Egyptian religion. All right. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves. This is 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 28. This is talking about Jeroboam. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. You know, and you can see that he had come out of Egypt after Solomon's death, and that he was also from the tribe of Ephraim. You know, Jeroboam being from the tribe of Ephraim, gonna make him part Egyptian. You know, the priest of old daughter was given to Joseph. You know, Pharaoh being slick, after Joseph answered his dreams and Pharaoh's magicians wasn't able to do it, you know, and then this Hebrew come did it. Okay, he gonna get that Hebrew, the priest of On daughter, and then that priest of On daughter gonna have 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And the tribe of Ephraim, man, they kind of like, you know, was keeping up all the mischief. And Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim, and he brought them 2 golden calves out on us after Solomon died. You know, Solomon opened the door up for all that wickedness. You know, he was kicking it with all the women, and man had everything. You know, he built the temple, but he also built them Egyptians a temple, and wasn't supposed to have no Egyptian worship on the promised land. Because why would we have Egyptian worship on the promised land? We should have stayed in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? And we should have never got no Exodus. But the Creator gave us a new culture that didn't consist of that idol worship. We was to get rid of that idol worship. And us having that covenant would have doomed Egypt. You see what I'm saying? Would have doomed Egypt, because Egypt couldn't come across the promised land. Egypt couldn't come across the promised land. Egypt couldn't come across the promised land to do trade with Assyria and Mesopotamia, its relatives and the people that it found, as I've showed that how Egypt did trade with Assyria. You see what I'm saying? So us having that covenant right there kind of hurted everybody and cramped it everybody's style, because us doing that covenant right there, meaning that can't none of them crisscross across the land to do trade with Egypt. And they didn't have the technology
to go all around and go over here. It might take 2 years to get around here to get over here when they could just be over here in a month or two. You see what I'm saying? So us having that covenant right there, which was a new culture, different from that Amorite, Egyptian, Babylonian culture that consisted of idol worship. You know, the Egyptians had gods with crocodile heads and all kind of humans with half animal bodies and stuff. And the Babylonians, they are responsible for the Norajal, Murdoch, all the wickedness in they gods and stuff. You know, they even had scribe gods, Nebo, and man, the history go on. You know what I'm saying? But us having that covenant right there in the promised land was supposed to stop all that. You know, immediately stop all that. Us following the laws of the Creator and that covenant he gave us was to get rid of all that stuff. And the Egyptians was done and cooked, and they could not come across the promised land. They could not come across the promised land with us doing the covenant. You see what I'm saying? So that was like the death of Egypt. That was the death of Egypt. So the Egyptians were slick when he gave Joseph Asenath. And Asenath had those 2 sons, Ephraim. All right, I'm going to show you that, all right. Jeroboam. All right. If you go to 1 Kings, chapter 1 Kings 11:26. And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite of Zerudah, Solomon's servant, whose mother name was Zurah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. You see, so that's gonna be that Egyptian mix. You know what I'm saying? Jeroboam, you know what I'm saying, ancestors was the Egyptians. And then if you go back right to let me see, that's gonna be 1 Kings chapter 11 verse 40. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt unto Shashkan. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be his relative, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. You see, that's going to be his relative, you know, and he was relative, you know, when Joseph and our ancestors was in Egypt. You know, the Egyptian from the west side of the Nile control Egypt. They control Lower Egypt. And that's going to be the Mishwish tribes, the Libyan folks from the Sahara. You see what I'm saying? The people from the Sahara took Egypt over. You see what I'm saying? That's why all the pyramids is on the west side of the Nile. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the people from the west side of the Nile, which is considered West Africa. You see what I'm saying? They are the founders of Egypt. You know, but then they would have a regime change with the people from Upper Egypt. That's going to be the people from Nubia, Kush, in the Ethiopian side. You know what I'm saying? That there ain't no pyramids on. They gonna take over Egypt. You know what I'm saying? During the time of Joseph, the regime change in Joseph days, the way that Pharaoh didn't know Joseph. That's gonna be the East Africans, the Nubian stock taking over, and they would enslave us, and we would make bricks for them. You see what I'm saying? And we made bricks, and those pharaohs from the east side of the Nile didn't believe in the Creator. You see what I'm saying? They didn't believe in the Creator, as I can show that Pharaoh didn't believe in the Creator. You know, Pharaoh didn't believe in the Creator because Moses went to Pharaoh and asked him to let us go. You know what I'm saying? And Pharaoh said, who is this God that I got to let y'all go to? You see what I'm saying? All right. And afterwards, this Exodus 5. And afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, this said the Elohim Yah of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a fast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is this Elohim that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Elohim, neither will I let Israel go. So Pharaoh was real wicked. And then as you read throughout Exodus and Moses going into them, Moses always said the God of the Hebrews, the Creator of the Hebrews. Let the Creator children, the Hebrews, go do this and that. And Pharaoh say, nah, man, we ain't letting y'all go nowhere. But that's because we was making bricks. We was making bricks in Egypt. You know, Egypt had brick houses.
Egypt had brick houses. Egypt had brick houses. Egypt had brick houses, and we was making the bricks. We was making the bricks to supply the industry. And also, if you look in Mesopotamia area, them folks made bricks too, and them folks had brick houses, brick walls, and everything. Bricks must have been a big commodity because that's what we was making. And Pharaoh even made it hard for us to make the bricks. You know, we probably had contracts. You know what I'm saying? We was in slavery. You know, and Pharaoh and them wasn't finna let us go to worship no creator. You know what I'm saying? And Joseph answering those dreams, you know what I'm saying, gonna open the door up to them folks treating us bad, because that's gonna be embarrassing the Egyptian gods. You see what I'm saying? That's gonna be making Egyptian gods look bad. So you know Pharaoh gonna pull a slick one. You know he gonna pull a slick one. And he gonna plant the seed for his people. You know, all of them down with each other, whether it's the East Pharaoh or the West Pharaoh. They all gonna be down with each other, and they gonna look out for the preservation of their people and their civilization. So you know he gonna get Joseph, Asenath. And Asenath, you know what I'm saying, had them two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And then, as you can see, let's show this. All right, that's gonna be Exodus. That's gonna be Genesis 41. Turn right to it. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephaniah Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out all over the land of Egypt. All right. And unto Joseph were born, this is 41:50. And unto Joseph were born two sons before the years of the famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore unto him. And Joseph called the name of the first Manasseh, for he had made me forget all my toil and all my father's house, having it good. Pharaoh hooking him up. And all the name, in the name of the second called he Ephraim, for Yah had caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Pharaoh hooking him up, getting him everything. You know, he done answered the Pharaoh's dream and stuff. So Pharaoh done hooked him up with the priest's daughter. They done had two sons. All right, and then when we leave Egypt, you know what I'm saying, Pharaoh and them folks so slick that they people leave with us. You see what I'm saying? Them Egyptians leave with us. And you can see this in Exodus 12:38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, flocks and herds and very much cattle. So, you know, all them folks left with us. And then when Moses go up to get the law, while we going into the promised land trying to get there, and Moses go up and get the law, and then we, you know, them folks that was with us, then we throw up the golden calf. You see, and when all the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto us, make us gods which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what become of him. See what I'm saying? That's going to be them folks with us. You know what I'm saying? Sending us out. And then we'll make the golden calf. You know what I'm saying? And you know Moses came down, and you know what happened. We had to wander around, and he tried to kill them folks off that was with that old wicked stuff. All right, they was trying to stop that new culture that we was finna set up where them Egyptians couldn't come across the promised land. That's all it boiled down to. You know what I'm saying? And all right, and then you can see this wickedness, man, again, you know what I'm saying, with Jeroboam. You know what I'm saying? And then we know from Exodus to the time of us coming in the land. You know, Prophet Moses died, I think it was around about 1406 BC, and we Exodus about 1446, something like that. And Joshua come on around about 1406 when Joshua come about, and then he passed, you know what I'm saying, around about 1375, and then we fell off, and that's the book of Judges. And we was
through for a long time, and all kind of bondage. Them folks had tricked us. When we was coming into the promised land, we was supposed to get rid of those Canaanite culture, because that Canaanite culture is that same culture, that Amorite culture that produced Sodom and Gomorrah. You see what I'm saying? And them folks had fled to the mountains when it was destroyed. So, that evilness went from Canaan all the way to Babylon, because the Amorites are the founders of Babylon. That's why come I say, when those Sephardi Jews, the Sephardims, was placed back in our land, they were slick Amorites. It was like they was getting their land back. When we broke the covenant and ran off. I'm going to try to cover all that too. All right. So we know that the Egyptians put their, stuff on us, and we know during Joshua days how we, start to come into the land and getting it right. And then from Joshua, from Samuel, I think, that's gonna be 1375. You know what I'm saying? We only did the covenant about 130 years from Prophet Samuel to King David. You know what I'm saying? There's only 130 years, and then Solomon come on with his wickedness, and then Jeroboam come out of Egypt with that mess. After Solomon died, then we was throwed off the whole time for 300 years, all the way to King Josiah was born. And then, we only had 818 years in the promised land. We ain't had no long time in the promised land. We was in the promised land under 100 years, and we did 500 of those years on Egyptian, Amorite, Canaanite culture. So we didn't follow the law, and we was messed up the whole time. You know what I'm saying? But we was on that Egyptian religion all the way to King Josiah was born. And this is going to be around about 632 BC. All right, King Josiah going to be, all right. And then after you start reading King Josiah history, you'll see that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. This is going to be around about 640 BC when he cleaned up the whole Israel from the Egyptian religion. See, we was on that Egyptian religion from the time of Jeroboam, putting it on us all the way to King Josiah cleaned it up. Because the northern kingdom army was taken away, and that, us being on Egyptian religion allowed that to happen. And King Hezekiah, this to show you that all the tribes was here also too. All right, this is King Josiah. Let's go to King Josiah's great grandfather. This is gonna be Hezekiah. This is 715 BC. In 715 BC, this is 2 Chronicles 30, and then I'm gonna get to King Josiah. Also, you know what I'm saying, let me show this at the same time too, because all this kind of tying together. All right, in 722 BC, the king of Assyria took the northern kingdom, all right, army away, and then they placed some Babylonian scribes in our land. See, this what people don't understand, is that some people was placed in our land that were scribes, that was responsible for Babylon's history. You know what I'm saying? And these Sephardims, the Sephardim is the Hebrew word for Sephardi. Sephardic, it's only two Jews, Ashkenazi and the Sephardi groups, where the king of Assyria placed the Sephardis in our land in 722 BC. All right. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuddar and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children Israel. All right, and they dwelled in Samaria, in the cities thereof. All right, Samaria. All right, when the people from Sepharvaim, those people from Sepharvaim was from here. They was from here. You see Sipper? You see Sipper? That's short for Sepharvaim.
That's where they was from, and that's an Amorite. The whole Mari, the whole Amorite founded this. And the Amorites were slick Hamites, Canaanites, you know what I'm saying? They was of Ham descendants. And Nippur is the other city, and you couldn't be a king in none of the other cities, man, unless you come from there. And that go Usher, that go Syria. You see what I'm saying? Up that way. You see what I'm saying? And all this was kind of like tied in together. You know what I'm saying? And like I showed, Assyria is gonna be the gateway for those folks coming down out of the mountains, the Caucasus Mountain, to kick it in Babylon and them other parts. And I showed how Assyria is the founder of Chaldea, and how the Scythians, Ashkenazi, come into Chaldea and what's called the Turanian Scythian Chaldean culture. You know, the Scythians and the Chaldeans kicked it in the Sumerian culture till it was destroyed. The Akkadian culture, and those folks the Scythians gonna destroy that too. And all right, 2 Kings. All right, so those people was placed in our land in 722 BC when the king of Assyria them took the fighters away. These folks was placed there, and those Scythians was kicking it around Assyria during that time too. As I showed that they was there because Prophet Jonah went there and tried to get them right. And as you read, those folks, they practice our culture. These will be the people that we would abandon our heritage to when we went into Africa, when they kindreds chased us up off the land. All of them, both of them in it together. Ashkenazi and the Sephardics. Alright, so they feared the Elohim and made unto themselves of the lowest of them priests of the high places, which sacrificed for them in the houses of the high places. They feared the Elohim and served their own gods after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence. You see, so those folks was following our culture that was placed in our land. And then when you get to Hezekiah, chapter 30, 2 Chronicles chapter 30, this is in 715 BC. This is 7 years after they was placed. You're going to see that those folks come to the Passover dinner. See, King Hezekiah sent a letter to all Israel. This is 7 years after the Assyrians supposed to had took everybody away. See, them people be creating the myths. That's going to be called the Jewish myths, or the 10 lost tribes, and Israelites ran into Africa in 70 AD, or everybody is an Israelite, or demigod worship. All that come from the Babylonian scribes that we abandon our heritage to, which are those Sephardims. All right, if you read 2 Chronicles chapter 30, and it says, and Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah and wrote letters unto Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of the Elohim at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel. For the king had taken counsel and his princes and all the congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the 2nd month. For they could not keep it at the time because the priests had not sanctified themselves sufficiently, and neither had the people gathered themselves together to Jerusalem. And the thing pleased the king and all the congregation. So they established a decree to proclaim throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to keep the Passover of the Elohim Yah of Israel at Jerusalem, for they had not done it of a long time in such sort as it was written. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that are escaped out of the hands of the king of Assyria. So they show you that, they escaped the Assyrians, and that it never was no 10 lost tribes. As I showed you that the Syrians only took 3 tribes. And as you read down to 2 Chronicles 30, you'll see it says, 2 Chronicles 30 verse 10. So the post passed from city to city throughout the country of Ephraim and Manasseh, even unto Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Nevertheless, the verse of Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. So them tribes was there. And then as you read, you know what I'm saying, you get down to 18. For a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim, Manasseh, Ashkar, and Zebulun, have not cleansed themselves. Yet they did eat the Passover, otherwise that it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, the good Elohim pardon everyone. And then all those that's not mentioned during King Hezekiah time, gonna be mentioned during his great-grandson time. Okay, those people that was placed in our land in 722 BC, those Sephardic Jews, they came to the Passover too. They was in Samaria. And if you read down to 2 Chronicles chapter 30 verse 25, you will see, and it says, and all the congregation of Judah with the priests and the Levites and all the congregation that come out of Israel and the strangers that come out of Israel and that dwell in Judah rejoice. So those people came out of Israel to the Passover dinner. Those Sephardic Jews, under their real name Sephardim, and they were scribes from Babylon. Okay, King Josiah, you know what I'm saying? He gonna mention all the tribes that's not mentioned during his great-grandfather time. All right, as you read down, you will see that he started to clean up the whole Israel of the Egyptian religion. You see what I'm saying? Of the Egyptian religion. And then as you get down to verse 6, it says, so did he in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, and Simon, even unto Naphtali with their mattucks round about. So all the tribes is there. So as you read, you know what I'm saying, you'll see that he cleaning the whole Israel up. And this what's so particular about King Josiah is that prophet Jeremiah was around this time. And then if you can see that he was around during King Josiah time. And then King Josiah was told after they found the book of the covenant that, you know, it was over for us. You know, the Egyptians, you know, killed him after that. You know what I'm saying? And then they would put, you know, his sons on the throne. And then the sons and them would go to the Egyptian religion. And then we would go into Africa because the Creator would send those Scythians, the same folks that destroyed Assyria. You see what I'm saying? The same people that destroyed Assyria was coming to get us now. You see what I'm saying? And this is how Ashkenazi got our heritage. And the prophet Num sum it up of the things that we would go through dealing with them. And I'm going to read it too. But we would go into Africa after the Egyptians tried to help the Syrians kill King Josiah. The Babylonians, the Scythians, who controlled Babylonian, Chaldea, you know what I'm saying? They would come into the promised land and they would kidnap a percentage of us. And we would say this, you know, because we was on the Egyptian religion. We was all messed up. And we would say this to the prophet Jeremiah, who was telling us to stay because we were seeing these folks like this coming to the promised land. Them folks like that, you know what I'm saying? Man, you see his hair in a ponytail. That's Ashkenazi. That's Ashkenazi coming on them horses. That's Ashkenazi right there. They was coming to chase up off the land. They was coming to get us up out of there because we wouldn't stop being wicked. We would not leave the Egyptian religion alone. We would not leave that Canaanite religion alone. So these peoples right here was coming to get us. They was coming to chase us off with that. Man, they had crossbows and bow and arrows, and they can shoot a bird's eye out on a horse moving. So they was coming to get us. And these the people from the north that the Creator sent to get us. And if you read the book of Jeremiah, and then you get down to chapter 44, you will see that, you know, we had totally lost our mind. You know, we had totally lost our mind. Because after seeing them folks and knowing that they was coming in to take our land over, we didn't want nothing to do with them. We said that we was going into Egypt to live and stay. You see what I'm saying? And then if you get to Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 15, 16, 17, and 18, you'll see that this was a mindset, a state of mind. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwell in the land of Petros in Egypt, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken to us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. You know what I'm saying? This dude right here, Necho, killed King Josiah, put us on the Egyptian religion. We go into Egypt, and that's where we stayed till we was enslaved. You know, we stayed in Africa. You know, Egypt ain't nothing but the Sahara. Egypt is a part of the Sahara, and this is the Sahara right here. The whole Egypt is part of the Sahara, and then they took us from these parts. They took us from these parts and brung us here, and then they brung us over here to the slavery, and here we went. You know what I'm saying? Like this. But yeah, man, we went into Africa, and how you know that these people didn't come out of Africa? This Necho, that's the dude that killed King Josiah. They got his statue in New York, and also the obelisk, the Cleopatra needle. We was enslaved under this in Moses' time when we was in Egypt. When we Exodus, this went up during the beginning of our slavery in Egypt, and it's called the Cleopatra needle. You know, they try to throw you off with that name, but it's older than Cleopatra, and it's in New York. Both of these images are tied into our bondage. This one was at the beginning of our enslavement in Egypt, and he killed King Josiah and put us on Egyptian religion that caused us to go into slavery from the beginning. So this is the Egypt that the Creator said that we will be taken to in ships. And this country is founded by the Masons. Those are the people that go in and set up the Egyptian system now. The architectures, the people that set up the design of the Egyptian system and monuments. You know, so this is the Egypt that the Creator said we will be taken to in Egypt as part of the curses. All right. So you see that we went into Africa in the book of Jeremiah, saying that we wasn't going to do the covenant no more. But, okay, if you go to the prophet Nun, this is going to be just before prophet Jeremiah. This is going to be during King Josiah time, after he done cleaned the land up. So we should have known and should have knew not to fall victim to the Egyptian religion. And because those Scythians, like I had said, King Midas and his daddy and them was kicking it Bartuta was kicking it in Syria. That's the Scythian, that's Ashkenazi. And this son, Midas, King Midas, who they say he got the golden touch. He sure enough had the golden touch, because he turned on Assyria. You know what I'm saying? That they went and messed with Media and tried to do them in, and then all of them got together. He was slick going down there to arouse all of them and get them all together. And then they went and destroyed Assyria and knocked Assyria off the face of the earth forever. Assyria is gone. Assyria is gone, and never to come back again. Never to come back again. And the prophets tell you this. You know, the prophets tell you what was going to happen to Assyria. And this what the prophet Num tell you what happened to Assyria and how it will be destroyed. And he go into detail where the prophet Habakkuk tell you how Ashkenazi, you know, this Ashkenazi history right here. This Ashkenazi history right here, because Ashkenazi they done destroyed Assyria, and they on our way. They was on their way to get us. And her book cover Ashkenazi history. And when you read this, and he talking about the tragedies that would be inflicted on the peoples, he talking about Ashkenazi doing it. All right, the burden of which Habakkuk the prophet did see. O Elohim, how long shall I cry, and thou would not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou would not save. Man, nobody been able to save us, you know what I'm saying, from this violence we've been going through with the curses. Why doest thou show me iniquity, and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that rise up strife and contention. Therefore the law is slack, and judgment doeth never go forth. For the wicked do compass about the righteous. Therefore wrong judgment proceeded. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days, which ye will not believe, though it be told you. For lo, I will rise up the Chaldeans. That's Ashkenazi. They coming into the land now. This is in 625. They on the way. We done seen so much that it was over with. Now, for lo, I will rise up the Chaldeans. I will rise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling place that are not theirs. And that's Ashkenazi in our heritage. That's Ashkenazi in our heritage. They in our heritage, and they've been claiming our heritage for a long time. What this prophet tell you? They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. All the wars is by them. Their horses are swifter than the leopard, and are more furious than the evening wolves. And their horses and their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far, and they shall fly as the eagle that hastens to eat. That's them. That's them. He was calling them right there. He was telling you that they was coming. He was telling you that they was coming. Prophet Habakkuk, they had already done beat Assyria up. They done tricked their way up into Assyria and then destroyed them folks. Well, now they coming to get us. Them folks consumed the whole earth. They tore everything up. That's them. Then shall come all for violence. They shall all come for violence. Their faces shall be souped up as the east wind, and they shall gather their captivity as the sand. Them the people that done got us in Spain with the Sephardic groups. All of them participated in it. All of them participated in our enslavement. Dr. Tony Martin go into detail, and then Dr. Tony Martin tell you about how the Babylonian scribes function. You Hebrews need to watch Dr. Tony Martin, and he'll tell you that the power that they got, them Babylonian scribes. You know what I'm saying? They control everything. Well, Ashkenazi, Habakkuk was telling you that it was Ashkenazi coming to get us, the Chaldeans. As I showed that the Chaldeans was took over by the Scythians. You know what I'm saying? The Scythians ain't nothing but Ashkenazi. Then all his mind changed, and he shall pass over and offend, and put in this his power unto his God. You know what I'm saying? That's what they did. They thought that's the same as Assyria did. Assyria thought that it was they gods, you know what I'm saying, that had caused us to be defeated when they had came in to get up with King Hezekiah. Even Prophet Isaiah had prophesied that Assyria would do this. You know what I'm saying? And let me see if I can pull that up, because that's a trip right there. You know what I'm saying? Alright. If you go to Isaiah, let me see, this going to be Isaiah 10. Let's see if I can pull this up. I know where it's at. This is just the verse I'm just trying to get to him. Alright, Isaiah 10. 10:13. Alright, this is what Prophet Isaiah said, and this is going to be in 735 BC. Then let me see. Yeah, but man, this is going to be about 735 BC. This is before Assyria even came into the land to try to even start something with us. But they had those Scythians hanging around their nation. So that's going to get them some hard, and the Scythians are a war people. You see what I'm saying? So that's going to prompt Assyria to go start doing all kind of stuff. They was already a mixed breed people anyway, and then they get sent out by the white boys that come kick it with them. See what I'm saying? All right, and it says, wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Elohim had performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria, and the look of his high looks. For he saith, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent, and have removed the bounds of the people, and have robbed their treasuries, and I have put down the inhabitants like a violent man. So he was bragging. He was bragging about robbing us and about doing the stuff that they did when they took the northern kingdom. Prophet Isaiah said that they would do that just before they did it. All right, and then if you go to 2 Kings, let me see, this is going to be 2 Kings 18:36. And it's another one too. Where it's recorded in history that the king of Assyria did just what Prophet Isaiah said. All right. $18.33. Let me see. Sure I got it right. Those 2 Kings. That's 2 Kings. Alright, 2 Kings 13:33. And sure enough, that's what the Syrian king said when he came in to bother King Hezekiah. And he said, where are the gods of Hamath and the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Iva? You know what I'm saying? He was taunting King Hezekiah. You know what I'm saying? And he took credit for himself for doing that to us and being able to come in our land. In Prophet Isaiah said that he would do that from the beginning. All right. Let's go to, let me see what's on this First Chronicles. Might have a little history right here related to it. Alright. So, you know, the prophet Isaiah said that the king of Assyria would do that, and sure enough, they did that. You know what I'm saying? When he took the credit of doing what they did to us instead of giving praise to the Creator. I showed how Assyria at one time had to have some belief in the Creator because Prophet Jonah went there and then they put on sackcloth. But immediately after that, you know, they start turning wicked. That's going to be because Ashkenazi, the Scythians, Ashkenazi was kicking it around Assyria. And that's what brought the Assyrian Empire down. The Scythians did. And they would double cross Assyria. And that what destroyed Assyria. And then those folks came and got us. And that's what the book it is about. Before they came, and the prophet Jeremiah showed that they chased us up off the land. And if you go to 2 Kings chapter 25, verse 26, you will see that Chaldeans chased us up off the land. And that ain't nothing but Ashkenazi. And that's when Ashkenazi came into our heritage during the Babylonian Wars. They got like 134 years head start on the Sephardi groups, whose name is Sepharvaim. All right, and all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they was afraid of the Chaldeans. That ain't nothing but slick Ashkenazi on the horses, who prophet Hubak said was going to, come get us and destroy us. And if you read that book, he go into detail about the things that we going through today. And that was Ashkenazi. That was Ashkenazi history, is Hubak. And they came and took over Assyria and destroyed it. And all the kingdom, they took Chaldea over, they took Babylon over. And then when they moved in the land, because they was like warriors and fighting folks, that they didn't really start to get an understanding of our culture and history till the Romans came in. You know what I'm saying? And they had a city called Scythopolis. In the Discopolis cities, it's ancient Beth Shane. That's where the Scythians set up at, and they mixed in with the rest of the folks. And their history It's camouflaged in history, but if you know who the Scythians were, and that's Ashkenazi in history, even though they try to say that that's a general name for all of them, that's Ashkenazi. And Ashkenazi took over the Syrian Empire. They moved in there, tricked them folks out their heritage. They got the Babylonians, they got us, and they moved in our land, and they've been fighting with the Sephardi Jews over our heritage. And this is even said by them. I'm going to show you something. This is said by them. And, you know, the Sephardi Jews is having a hard time trying to hold on to what they got from us. Because Ashkenazi, you know, took it from them. Shoot, I hate when it happens, when I need something to explain something. As soon as the camera's going off, it's gonna pop right up. Ain't that something? Man. The Sephardi Jews lost their way to the Ashkenazi Jews, and they'll tell you in their history. All right, shalom, Hebrews. That's Ashkenazi. I'm going to do some more history on Ashkenazi. This just opening the doors right here. Shalom. This the Israelite Brotherhood. Israel ben Israel.